We are live.
Hello everyone, good morning. How are all of you doing today? Welcome back to another session of your writing module. So we are going to practice a lot of writing today. I hope you're all excited to begin. And of course, at the end, we will write an introduction as well. So we'll majorly look at writing task 2 because it's common for both general and academic. So all of you will be able to participate. And I will give you a small brief of how task 1 is as well. So yes, at the end, we'll write an introduction also. All right, so how are all of you doing? Hi Vishwa, hello Ayush. Hi Gurminder. Right. Okay, so what problems do you face in writing? Okay. So yes, let me know what problems do you face in writing and I'll try and help you remove those problems. Hello Jaya, hi Angel, great, all right, lovely to see that all of you joined. Framing correct sentences, so sentences which are correct, sentence formation. All right. Lack of vocabulary. All right. Framing answers, generating ideas. All right. Sentence structures. Okay. So when you say that you face issues with sentence formation, how do you know that the sentences that you're making are not correct? Who is giving you this feedback? So it's quite easy to realize that yes, I am making some errors. But how do I rectify them? Right? So you need help of a person, right? You'll need somebody to help you. Because if nobody's checking your the writing that you're the essays that you're writing, how are you coming to know how to improve? What is wrong? Exactly. So how exactly do you self-evaluate? Of course, one trick that I have for self-evaluation also I'll give you. So if you want to just check your basic grammar, that is my grammar, basic grammar correct. If you want to self-evaluate, something that you can do is use Grammarly. So after you've written all your entire essay, you can cut, copy, paste it into a document and switch on Grammarly, right? So that will catch the basic grammar errors, right? But sometimes what happens is it shows us an error and we don't know why that is an error. Why is that a mistake? It sounds or it seems correct to me. Because if I knew that that was a mistake, why would I make it? Right? So now here is where your personal feedback, this is where an actual examiner comes in. Right? So if you want your essays to be evaluated, you can join our course. So this is a new course that we have. It's beginning today. Right? So if you had been, let's say, planning or thinking of joining a course since a few days, today would be a great time to do that. So this course is starting today in the evening. All right. And it's just for 999 rupees. You can use my code TMLive20 to get additional 20% discount. So after putting my code, you'll be able to get it at just 799. Right? Okay. Now, in this course, you'll get writing evaluations, speaking evaluations as well. And along with that, if you are going to attempt the computer-based test, we have partnered with a with an application, with a program which hosts the same computer-based test that is there in your IELTS exam. So you get a real life hands-on experience to a computer-based test as well. And this extensive course is especially for beginners. Why? Because we focus on a lot of grammar here. So we focus on grammar, and you have 10 grammar classes. We'll cover every topic which is required for sentence construction and for the IELTS exam. So topics like passive voice, nouns, pronouns, punctuation, articles, complex sentences, tenses, right? Okay. So this is a really good idea. You can enroll in this course. All right, great. Or you can also contact Sandhya. Great. Yes, so Vipin, yes, apart from the 10 grammar classes, there will be all the 4 modules will also be covered. Yes, you can make the payment by MasterCard, Raman. You can click on the link and you can make the payment. There are a lot of payment options that are accepted. No, Muhammad, the batch is still open. You just need to click on the link and that will direct you to the batch. It's still open. What error are you facing, Muhammad? All right, Ayush, no worries. You can keep joining me in the live classes then. So yes, Gagandeep, we have a lot of free classes as well. For example, our YouTube lives are all free. That's great, Kurman. So yes, all the 4 modules will be covered. So this is a 6-week course. 2 weeks we'll be studying grammar, brushing up grammar, and post grammar we'll be looking at the 4 modules as well. So yes, Ayush, we do help with, we have a Leap scholarship as well. You can check that out on our site. The link is in the chat box, Simran. All right, okay. So that is about it that I wanted to inform you about this course and how exactly it helps you um, improve your writing. All right, Sandhya, what error did you face? Yes, Akam, you can join it today. Today is the last day to join it since it begins today, right? Okay. Now, let's begin with the writing module. All right. So, Arshdeep, the link you will get it in your email ID. It's great to see all of you too, Sukhdeep. All right, so let's begin with our writing module now. So, as we all know, there are 2 tasks in writing. And what are those 2 tasks? 1 and 2, right? In both general and academic, they both have 2 tasks. Task 2 is the same for both of them, right? So task 2 stays the same. You are given a situation and you need to write an essay responding to that situation, right? Now you should spend 40 minutes on task 2 and write at least 250 words. However, 250 words, when I say it's the minimum, it really is the minimum. You shouldn't aim for writing just 250. Try and write at least 270. Why? Because when you're expanding your ideas, when you're developing them, and when you're writing a proper essay, 250 words will not be enough to expand your ideas properly. If you develop your ideas, support them with an example, explain them properly, your words will definitely go above 270. Right? So always aim for at least 270 words. Now, what happens if I go below 250? Can someone tell me what happens if I go below 250? So yes, the timings of the grammar class is also Kanika are 5 to 6. Exactly what I'm asking Daljit, that what happens if you write below 250 or more than this? So, see, yes, if you write below 250, definitely it will have a huge impact on your score, a very big impact, right? So you need to make sure that you do not write below this word count. In fact, I would go far enough to say that do not write below 270 as well. Even below 270 is really, really difficult to get a band 7. All right. Now, what happens if I write above 270? Let's say that I am writing more than 270 words. Now what happens? Well, now nothing happens. So as long as your grammar is really good, your vocabulary is good, nothing happens. Right? You can go ahead and write as much as you want. So go ahead, write your heart out. There is no upper limit as such. Right? Harsimran, there is no such exact percentage. It really depends. Even more than that could, more than that could also be affected, depending on how less you've written. Right? Okay. So yes, nothing happens if you write above 270. In fact, I think that's a great thing to do if your grammar and vocabulary is good. Go ahead and write it. That's fine. Okay. Now, if your grammar and vocabulary are not good, let's say that you know that I make a lot of grammar errors or I repeat a lot of words, then don't go above 270. Stick to 270. Right? That's what I'm saying, Arish. If your grammar is good, if your vocabulary is good, write as much as you want in 40 minutes. If you can write 1,000 words in 40 minutes, I don't think that is humanly possible, right? So there is no upper limit as such. As long as your grammar is perfect, even if you've written 1,000, I don't think the examiner is going to do anything, right? Definitely, Arish, that's what I'm saying. There is absolutely no upper limit. But that obviously does not mean that you write 1,000, right? No, Daljeet, that is not true. So see, what happens is, if your grammar is not good and if you're writing more, what happens? The more you write, the more chances of you making mistakes are there, right? So the more you write, the more errors will be there, right? So please remember this, keep this in your mind. So only if your grammar is good, your vocabulary is good, go ahead and exceed the limit. Otherwise, let's stick to around 270, maximum 280, right? Okay. Now, talking about task one. Task one is slightly different. This is the difference between general and academic. This is the only thing which is hugely different. So in case of general, you are again presented a situation and you need to write a letter. Now, this letter can be informal, it can be semi-formal, or it can be formal, depending on the situation that is given to you. To whom are you writing the letter? Is it to your boss, to your teacher, or to someone that you don't know, or are you writing it to your friends and family? So depending on that, the tone needs to be consistent, right? For example, if you're writing a formal letter, it needs to begin with dear sir or madam. But if you're writing an informal letter, you can just go ahead and write hi Deeksha or hello Deeksha, right? Okay. Similarly, your closing line should also correspond to the tone of your letter. If it's formal, it needs to be formal throughout, right? Okay. Again, you are given a minimum word limit of 150. This is also not enough. Aim for at least 160. That's the bare minimum that we need to reach. All right. Now, academic students, on the other hand, are given some type of data. This data can be in the form of a bar graph, line graph, pie chart, table, process, or a map. Right? So any 5 of these options can be there. And after looking at this data, you need to analyze it, make comparisons, and write a university-style formal report. So academic students need to write a report. Now, in both cases, the report and the essay needs to be written in a formal style. So can someone tell me what does formal style mean? What does formal style mean? See, MAM is an abbreviation, avoid that. Yes, Kanika. Perfect. So yes, Steve says no idioms, no personal pronouns. Perfect. Except for when you're writing your opinion. So yes, no personal pronouns. For example, I, me, why, us. What else? No opinion. No, that's not true, Tarun. So for essay, you will be writing your opinion. That has nothing to do with formal style. So yes, not using the first person. No contractions, correct? So for example, not writing can't, don't. No proverbs, no phrasal verbs, no sarcasm, no slangs. Very good. Perfect. So yes, trying to use the passive voice. Absolutely correct. No Manpreet, not in your writing. Can I use phrases? A phrase is a group of words. So what does that have to do with anything, right? No abbreviations, no short forms, right? Yes, Archana, you can write overview in the last paragraph. So slangs, Mulukutla, for example, gonna, wanna, or ain't, right? No sapna, Daljit, either of those is fine. That it makes no difference on where you write it. What makes the difference is how is your overview. All right. Okay, perfect. So these are the things that we should do to make sure that our writing style is formal, right? Okay. Now moving forward, let's understand what are the other assessment criteria that we are being judged for, right? So as you can see, there are 4 criteria. First is task achievement, coherence, lexis, and grammatical range and accuracy, right? Okay. Now, let us look at what exactly does this assessment criteria mean, right? So if you look at task achievement, what does that mean? Or task response. So what does it mean? That have you addressed all parts of the task or not? How many parts are there to the question? Have you answered all? Right? Okay. Now, second thing, coherence and cohesion. What is this? So this is to your writing what fluency is to your speech. So for example, if you look under band 5, it says it presents information, but there is a lack of progression, of clarity. The flow is not great, right? Whereas for band 7, it says logically organizes. So organization is logical. And the second thing it says is uses cohesive devices. So what are cohesive devices? Can you give me example? For example, you're linking words, moreover, additionally, in addition to that, furthermore, nevertheless, although, even though, however. Okay. Now, third thing is your lexical resource. What is lexis? Vocabulary. And now what kind of vocabulary do they want me to use? So let's look under band 5. It says uses a limited range of vocabulary. What does that mean? Limited range, short, small range. That means there is a lot of repetition. So avoid repetition. For example, if your essay is about, let's say, students, don't repeat the word students again and again. What can we do? Use synonyms. For example, you can say pupils, learners, right? So do not repeat the same word again and again. Okay. Next thing they say is use some uncommon words. So yes, you should use at least a few uncommon words. What else? Now it says uses the correct collocation. So what is collocation now? Can someone tell me what is collocation? Absolutely correct, Kajal. Scholars, correct. So collocations are words that usually go together. For example, if I say bitterly cold, right? So even though cold cannot be bitter, we still say it was bitterly cold. That is a collocation. For example, take a keen interest in. So words which usually go together. Perfect. Healthy diet. No, Mulukutla. No. The essay format does not require us to use headings. Correct, Shivani. Yes. So all of this is considered under Lexis. Not only using big words, right? So there are 4 things. Using uncommon words is just one of those, right? And now when I move to grammar, it says 2 things, range and accuracy. Now, obviously, accuracy means if you look under band 5, it says makes frequent grammar errors and punctuation is faulty. So accuracy means errors should not be there and punctuation should be correct. But what is this grammar range? Range of grammar means using a variety of what? Can you tell me range of what? What is it that they're looking for? Variety of what? Exactly. So range of different sentence structures, right? So you should use a wide variety of structures. Here under band 8, it says uses a wide range of structures and the majority are error free. So what all structures? Complex structures, compound sentences, simple sentences, compound complex sentences, right? So trying to use different sentence structures. And each of these assessment criteria have equal weightage. So they all have 25% weightage. That means that vocabulary is not the most important part. Each of them are equally important. They have the same weightage. So don't focus on only one part. Focus on all 4 of them, right? Okay. Now, talking about the computer-based test, what is different in case of the writing module? So why should you opt for computer-based test? Let me tell you some of the features. So first thing is that the word count appears. So as and when you will keep typing the words, the number will flash. It will keep telling you, let's say, for example, 2 words, right? Apart from this, the time remaining appears. So for example, it will show you 50 minutes left, right? So the time appears. What else? Now your screen is divided into 2 parts, left and right. On the left side, you have your question and a rough area to type as well. So in the computer-based test, you get a rough sheet. Also, you get a rough area on the screen to type. So you can type in that rough area and you can use the copy paste option to copy your answers to the answer sheet. One more thing is there that you can edit your answers. So let's say that you have typed something wrong. For example, let's say I have written that sugar causes high blood pressure, and I want to edit this. So I can just go back and I can remove high, right? So I can delete. It is extremely easy in case of the computer-based test, right? If you want to know all of the features, you can enroll in our premium or extensive course, so you get mock tests, which are computer-based tests. So yes, in the paper-based test, you'll have to manually count your words. Yes, Arshdeep, every word is counted. So article is also a word, it is also counted. All right. Now, whether you are attempting the computer-based or paper-based test, make sure you attempt task 2 first, because it has twice the weightage, right? So it has 2/3 weightage. Make sure you attempt that first. So even if you're taking the computer-based test, you can scroll down, attempt task 2, and then scroll back up, attempt task 1. All right. Okay. Now, how do I begin writing my essay? We follow something called the power writing process. What is this power writing process? The moment you see your essay, please don't begin answering it. Please spend some time planning your answer. Now, what am I planning for? The first thing I plan is I analyze the question. I will analyze what kind of an essay is given to me. Right? So there are 4 essays. We look at what those are. The first thing that I'm doing is I'm analyzing the question, understanding what type of essay is it. After I've analyzed it, I've understood, all right, this is, let's say, the opinion essay. I will decide my personal response. Should I agree or should I disagree? How will I decide this? Depending on how many main ideas do I have for agreeing, how many main ideas do I have for disagreeing. So should I agree, disagree, or should I do a little of both? Should I partially agree? Let's say, for example, if it's a problem solution essay, I will have to brainstorm in advance what solution will I propose for the problem before I start writing it. Because my solutions need to tackle the problem. So I'll have to brainstorm the solutions beforehand, right? So I'm deciding all of this. After I've decided my personal response, what am I going to do? I'm going to brainstorm ideas. So now I am going to brainstorm ideas. Think of as many ideas as you can, right? Let's say that you've thought of 10 ideas. Now I don't need to write 10 ideas. How many ideas do I need to write? Usually 2 or 3 ideas. So now I will choose my ideas. How do I choose my ideas? I will select those ideas which are strongly supporting my point of view. And one more thing, how do I choose my ideas? One more thing is very important. Yes, Prithvi. I'm afraid that's not possible, Rishi. Great, Mohammed. So glad to have you. See you at 5. So yes, brainstorm means to think of as many ideas as you can. Now, how do I select which idea to use? So first thing that I was doing was which strongly support, right? So first thing is which are strongly supporting. The second thing I need to think of is examples for those ideas. Write only those ideas for which you can think of examples. If you cannot think of an example for an idea, please do not write that idea. Why? Because your argument or your discussion will not be considered effective, developed, until and unless you are supporting it with an example. Examples are mandatory. You must include them, right? So you need to support these with examples. Think of examples. If you can't think of examples, leave out that idea. Leave it. Use another idea, right? All right. Now, finally, after you've chosen your ideas, the next thing you can finally do is organize these ideas into paragraphs, right? How do I organize? So explore these ideas further. To write my paragraphs, I have to expand them. How do I explore these ideas further? Now I have a very good trick for this. If you want to expand or explore your ideas further, you can use the 5 wives and 1 husband technique. What is that? The 5 WH questions. Ask yourself, why is this supporting my point of view? Who is this affecting? What does it mean? Where and when? Additionally, how? Right? So, what is this resulting in? Expand these questions mentally, and you will be able to expand your paragraph, expand your idea. So, we'll look at this today. We'll try and expand our ideas today using this method and see if it works or not. Now, finally, after I've organized my idea into paragraph, I'll decide which idea should I put in which paragraph, right? How many paragraphs should I need? Finally, no, Keshu, that's not true. That is not true. I will begin writing. Your actual writing takes place in just 25 to 30 minutes. So just 25 to 30 minutes, right? Please leave 3 to 5 minutes at the end for editing and revising your uh, essay. What am I editing and revising for? So obviously, one thing that I'm editing for is grammar. What else? I'm checking grammar mistakes. What else am I checking afterwards? Now I'm checking, have I answered all parts of the question? So let's say if the question asked me for my opinion, have I given it? If the question asked for problems and solutions, have I given both? If the question asked for, let's say, advantages and disadvantages, have I given both? What else? I'm checking for spellings. Are my spellings correct? And I'm checking for vocabulary as well. Have I repeated my words? Is there repetition? If there is repetition, please try and use a synonym now. Right? So proofreading. Remove repetition, use synonyms. So read your essay at least twice, not once, at least twice after you've written it. Once is not enough. You will not be able to spot all the errors by just reading it once. Right? So read at least twice. There is no word limit, Tarun. Minimum you should write 270. There is no upper word limit. Yes, Priya, both your task 1 and task 2 begin with an introduction. So yes, that is true. No, Kajal, you have to make sure that I am not, spending more than 25 minutes while writing, so that there is time left to edit and revise. They will not give you extra time. You need to manage everything within 40 minutes. Right? So we'll have to manage that. Okay. Now, moving forward, what are the different types of essays that are there? So how many essay types are there? 4, 5, 6, 7. How many? Any guesses? No, Swati. Always make sure that your essay is equal. So either 100% or 50%. This concept of 70-30 is not good. No, Keshu, that is not true. The validity of IELTS is still 2 years. Absolutely correct. So yes, the number of essays, the types of essays are 4. They can be phrased in different manners, right? The phrasing can be different, but there are 4 types of essays. So what are those 4 essays? The first is your opinion essay, right? Now, this opinion essay can be asked in 2 different manners. So either they can ask you, let's say, do you agree or disagree? or they can ask you that to what extent do you agree. So it's phrased in two different ways, right? Either it can simply ask your opinion, or it can say how much do you agree. So till what extent. Now if it's asking you to what extent do you agree, your vocabulary needs to reflect, your language needs to reflect your extent of agreement, right? So one of the best ways to do this is to use an adverb. For example, let's look at the scale. So on the scale of agreeing and not agreeing at all, you can see the different adverbs that you can use. You can say, I somewhat agree, so I agree a little. I strongly or completely agree. I totally agree, or I partially agree. Or you can say, I agree up to an extent, right? Or you can say, I somewhat disagree. That means I disagree a little, or I totally disagree, right? So please make sure that if the question is asking, to what extent do you agree, you need to use an adverb to show the extent of your agreement. How much are you agreeing or disagreeing, right? So now your opinion essay can be worded in two different manners, but it's asking the same thing. Another way of asking of your opinion essay is asking if this is a positive or negative development, right? So if they're asking if it's a positive or negative development, it's asking you the same thing, that what do you think, this is a good thing or a bad thing. So it's asking for your opinion, right? Now next that you have is your discussion essay. What is your discussion essay? It will present you two contradicting sides. Let's say, for example, it will say some people think that the IELTS exam is difficult, whereas others feel that it's not up to the mark and the difficulty level should increase, right? So I've given you two sides, two contradicting sides. Now the question can say two things. Either the question will say discuss both sides, or it will say discuss both sides and give your opinion, right? So check whether it is asking you for your opinion or not. If it's not asking you for your opinion, please make sure that we do not give it. Priya, where or is written, I'm not sure what your question is. Mulukutla, that's not possible. There is no such question type called only advantage. So the question type is called advantage and disadvantage, right? That is the third type that we were coming to. So advantages and disadvantages. For example, now your question could say, let's say that some people consider the IELTS exam to be a correct measure of a correct assessment of a person's English. However, some people feel there are disadvantages of taking the IELTS exam. For example, it's costly, right? So talk about the advantages and disadvantages of the IELTS exam, right? Okay. Now, last question. Now, sorry, your advantage disadvantage essay can be phrased again in a lot of different manners. For example, they could ask you, instead of advantage and disadvantage, they could say what are the merits and demerits. They could say what are the benefits and drawbacks. They could say what are the pros and cons. What are the, let's say, what are the positive and negative effects, right? So this can be phrased in a lot of different ways, but it is still the advantage disadvantage essay. That essay type has not changed, right? Okay. Now, another question can be added additionally. For example, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? What does that mean? That are the advantages more or the disadvantages more? Now, if you are saying that the advantages are more, what are you doing? You are giving your opinion, right? So indirectly, it's asking you for your opinion. See, if it just asks you, is it a bane or boon? It's an opinion essay, right? Absolutely not, Khushi. Please do not do that. Okay. Last essay type that we have is a problem solution essay. So here you have to explain the causes of a situation. Not always a problem, it could be a situation, and you need to explain why that is happening and suggest some possible solutions. For example, let's say an example of this question can be that, let's look at an example. So here is an example of the same. So it says a recent study shows that an increasing number of boys are dropping out of high school early. What are the causes and what solutions can you suggest? So a recent question that was asked in IELTS that a student told me, I'll share it with you, was, so what was the question? I've forgotten that question. So yes, a recent IELTS question was a number of people. So nowadays, a number of people want to know the history of a house before they purchase it. Why is this happening? And how can this be prevented? Right? So this was a recent question that was asked in the IELTS exam. So same, what is being asked? That nowadays people want to know the background story associated with a house. So what happened in that house? What people stayed there? Why was it sold? Have there been any unnatural deaths? Right? So they want to know the history associated with the house. Why? What are the causes? Why do they want to know this? And can you suggest some solutions? So what kind of an essay is this? Problems. We are talking about the causes and solutions. Right? Okay, perfect. Now let's look at what essay structure should I follow for all of these essays. All right, so I have a good news for all of you that the essay structure, there is one standard structure that you can use for all essays if you want. So mostly 4 to 5 paragraphs are enough for any essay, right? You can use 4 paragraphs for every essay type. Depending on the number of ideas that you have, you can change the structure, but let's look at a sample structure that you can use everywhere. So for example, for this question, the problem solution question, here is the structure. Now, your first paragraph is always the introduction. Your introduction is always a 3-sentence introduction. Yes, Amit, this will be saved as the live on YouTube. So how do I write my introduction? First sentence is always what is my first sentence? A general statement, a general neutral statement, right? That is my first sentence. So something which is slightly related to the question. For example, if I'm talking about houses, what can be a good general statement? I can say, let's say that buying a house is one of the biggest, one of the biggest investments. So monetary and emotional investments that a person makes in their life, right? And then I can relate this with the question that because it is such a huge investment, it is logical that they would want to know the background history associated with their house. So I will paraphrase the question next. Right? What am I going to do? The next sentence is going to paraphrase the question. What is paraphrasing the question? So paraphrasing means writing the question, rewriting it using synonyms. So now we are going to use synonyms to write the question and followed by the thesis statement. So what is the thesis? Usually your thesis statement gives your opinion. But in the problem solution essay, it wasn't asking me for my opinion. So what can I do? If I don't need to give my opinion, I can talk about the two main causes of why that is happening, right? So I can simply state the two main reasons or the two major reasons that people do that is, let's say, or are, and give two reasons that you're going to expand later, right? So always write your thesis statement. Thesis statement is usually your opinion, but if your opinion is not asked, you will have to modify your thesis statement. You will have to write something else, right? So what can you write? You can write an introduction. So you can write what the next paragraphs are saying. For example, in this case, the next paragraph is going to talk about problems. So I can write my problems there. Now, in the next paragraph, I can expand my two problems, write the two problems, explain them, and give examples for both. Next paragraph, I'm going to suggest some possible, feasible, or plausible solutions for the same. And again, if possible, give an example. Finally, I will write my conclusion. Now, what happens in my conclusion? There are two things that will happen. First, I will summarize the solutions. So I'm going to summarize my solutions and again, paraphrase the question statement again. All right, so that is my structure for a problem solution essay. Now, this same structure I can modify for each essay type. For example, let's say that the next essay type is a discussion essay. So what I can do is, let's look at a discussion question. For example, my question states, let's say that my discussion question says, some people believe that university tuition is an investment. However, others believe that tax money could be better spent in other ways. So these are two contradicting sides of how I should spend the tax, whether it should be spent to make university tuition free or whether it should be used on other things. So it has two contradicting sides. How I can modify my structure now? The same structure I'm going to modify. My introduction remains the same. Now my body paragraph 1 will discuss one side. I will support the argument for free university tuition. And my second body paragraph will support the second argument. So talk about different possible better ways to spend tax money. For example, building infrastructure on healthcare, right? So suggesting different other ways where I can spend tax money. And finally, in my conclusion, I'm going to summarize the key points. If my opinion was asked, I will mention my opinion again, right? Okay, Viva, I would recommend that we not use a template. Why? Because the examiners are trained to catch these templates. So let's avoid using templates. Okay, now let's look at a sample question that was recently asked in an exam. So this is a question that was recently asked. Let's try and write an introduction for it and then we look at a sample as well. Here our question says, many manufactured food and drink products contain high levels of sugar, which causes many health problems. Sugary products should be made more expensive to encourage people to consume less sugar. Do you agree or disagree? So now what is my prompt? My prompt is this 2-sentence prompt, right? And you need to tell whether you agree with this or not. So how am I going to write my introduction? I'm going to paraphrase the statement, the prompt. After that, I'm going to add my opinion, right? Okay. How do I paraphrase? Let's brainstorm the vocabulary. So instead of many, what can I say? So I brainstormed some vocabulary here. Instead of many, what can I say? I can say numerous. I can say um, plenty of, right? All right. Instead of manufactured food, can I say processed food, packed food, packaged food? Sorry. Can I say um, so? Machine made food, right? Okay. Now instead of food and drink products, I can say eatables. Instead of saying high levels of sugar, I can say excessive amounts of sugar or large amounts of sugar or gigantic proportion of sugar. Okay. Instead of health problems, can I say health issues? And instead of saying that they should be made expensive, can I say they should be made costly, pricey? Their cost should be increased, their cost should be augmented, right? To encourage people to consume less sugar. What, instead of encourage, what can I say? I can say to force people to consume less sugar in order to motivate, right? Okay. Instead of consume, what can I say? I can say intake, right? In order to decrease the intake of sugar. Okay. So let's try and paraphrase this question to write your introduction. So please paraphrase and send in your introduction. And I'll let you know if there are any grammar errors in your introduction. So yes, great. You can change the word consume and you can say consumption as well. That's a great idea. Perfect. Biba, the vice person, please don't use a template for writing. Uh, don't use it because the examiners they're trained, so they can make out if you've used a template. All right. So, Kajal, now there are two types of examples. The first is a personal example. For example, if I say, for example, my friend who reduced her consumption of sugar, lost a lot of weight, and felt healthier. Or the second type of example is when you fabricate. So when you create an example, you can quote a research or a study. For example, you can say, in a recent study done by the World Health Organization, it was found that people who consume less sugar are less likely to have health issues like diabetes, heart problems, etc. Right? So those are the two ways of giving examples. Yes, we will be looking at a sample of this essay. All right, through good. Instead of the word install, you can say um, Include. Include excessive amount of. So Roshang, by following my tips and by practicing, practice makes a man perfect. Yes, Parot, you can. See, Prithvi, that has nothing to do with our essay here. Gurpreet, eatable things? No, you can say eatables. Okay. And remove like sugar. Good Paramjeet, one small change. So food habits of people have changed substantially. Right? Try and use your adverb after the verb. Okay, Shubham, numerous packed food and drink. So can we replace food and drink with something else? Yes, Rahin, we'll be looking at a sample. All right, good, Arshdeep. So yes, the word multitudinous is really good here. However, so you've written food and drink eatables. See, food and drink are eatables, right? So you'll have to remove food and drink. You can just say packaged eatables, which result in, not results. Okay. So sugary edible items must be made more exorbitant. You can say should have exorbitant prices. So exorbitant is a good adjective for prices. All right, great, good. Okay, Mohammed, good try. So it should be there has been much discussion around educating the consumer. Processed food containing gigantic proportion of sugar. Containing Mohammed. Kanika, rising, not raising. Good. So yes, a lot of you have not mentioned your opinion. Vishakha, good. However, it should be problems. Also, health problems is already there. Let's write health issues. All right, great, Vishakha. Okay, Ria, you can say have altered their food habits, right? Or they've changed their food habits. All right, great. Okay, so let's look at a good sample for this, which has a few, so which has some errors. So try and tell me what are those errors. I'm showing you the sample. Here is the sample. It's a really good sample. It is written with 386 words. So look at the number of words the person has written. 386. Right? And this is a good band 7 sample. So what are the errors here? Let's look at the first paragraph. What errors can you spot in the first paragraph? So this word is cavity, just a simple cavity. What are the errors in the first sentence? No, that is fine, Ashti. So, first error. All right, okay, I'll hide my video for a minute. My video is covering it. Okay. Sarina, very excessive. No. Okay. So, in the first paragraph, introduction paragraph, can you see the students' opinion? Is the opinion given? Where is the opinion? So yes, that should be cavity, correct? The opinion is given in the second paragraph. It needs to be shifted, added to the first paragraph, right? Okay. Next, can you tell me what is the error in the second paragraph? In this paragraph? Exactly. Opinion is given in the second paragraph. Yes, I have hidden my video. So exactly, avoid writing for example, right? Remove this. This example needs to be removed. The person can just say that it causes not only simple but also complicated health issues, right? Exactly. So the first error is according to me. What should be written instead? So according to me is not correct. What can he write instead of according to me? This is not correct. What should he write? How to give your opinion? So very good. In my opinion, what else? Correct, Ashti. What else? So, in my point of view, perfect. Or you can even say, I strongly believe. That is also fine. But please never use according to me. That is not correct. Right? According to is used for reporting someone else's. Yes, I opine can be used. I reckon no. Why? Because reckon is a very informal word. Do not use reckon. It is informal. No puja. Let's not use according to. All right. Do not use reckon, please. It's informal. You can say it while speaking, not while writing. Okay, what about, okay, what next? What other issues are there in the second paragraph? So, what about this foods, right? Then again, this solution, okay, this solution is actually fine. That's okay. So this foods is not all right, right? These foods. Then what about wouldn't? He's used wouldn't. Is a contraction all right? No, right? Okay. And what about just think? So you can't use that in writing. That is more of what you would speak, right? So just remove just think. You can say for example. Begin with for example, right? What else? What other errors can you spot? Okay, what about this sentence here? It says learned by these conferences. What should it be? Learned by these conferences? And what about less problems? What is wrong here? Why is less problems wrong? So instead of by these conferences, it should be at these conferences, right? And why not less problems? Less is used for uncountable nouns. Less is for uncountable, right? Less milk. Not for countable. Problems I can count. One problem, two problem. So what should I use for countable nouns? Fewer problems, right? What else? So yes, the ideas are good, but the person has not phrased them properly, right? The structure could be a little more formal. It needs to be a little more formal, right? All right. Okay. So that is all for today's session. You can definitely read this uh, essay once. The person has not phrased his ideas well, but the ideas are good, right? Okay. So let's try today homework for you. Try and rephrase this essay. Try to write an essay on the same topic. Make sure that it's better than the one that this person has written, right? Okay. So yes, interrogative sentences should also be avoided, right? Here we can think of another manner of writing this. We can instead say that, for example, poor people who cannot afford a few, cannot even afford a few loads of bread per day would find it very difficult if we increase its price. So instead of writing it in the form of a question, convert this into a statement, right? Okay. All right. If you have any questions about task two, please let me know. So Kanika, they'll be more extensive. There will be more topics. On YouTube, I wasn't able to cover all topics. So we'll be looking at around 10, 11 topics in the grammar club. Yes, you can use to recapitulate, in conclusion, to conclude, to summarize. Yes. All right. If you have any doubts in task two, please let me know. Okay, I am going to stay here for 2 minutes, answer any doubts that you have. So yes, the paragraphing is not appropriate. It is unequal. In my perspective, in compendium, yes. Yes, Kanika, you can ask me any grammar questions also. So yes, Ruchi, in an opinion essay, maximum you can write 5 paragraphs. No, Arish, not required. Yes, Biba. Get well soon, Kavya. Vishakha, only one main idea in one paragraph. Conclusion, Ashti. No, Mohammed, comma is not required. Yes, Biba, it is an uncommon word. Vishakha, one main idea only. All right, thank you so much, all of you, for joining. It was great looking at your sample introductions. I shall see you tomorrow at the same time, 11:30. We'll be practicing listening. And do not forget to like the video, subscribe to IELTS Prep by LeapScholar. We do a lot of YouTube lives so that you can get a notification whenever we are starting a live video. Thank you so much.